11,500 years ago, on a hill in what is now southeastern Turkey, a group of human beings did something that should not have been possible. They did not have agriculture. They did not have cities. They did not have writing or metal or wheels. They lived in small bands. They hunted gazelle. They gathered wild grain that they did not yet know how to plant. And they dragged 20-ton limestone pillars up a hill, arranged them in great circles, carved foxes and snakes and vultures into them, and made a place that we now call Göbekli Tepe. It is older than the oldest pyramid by 7,000 years. It is older than Stonehenge by 6. It is older than every recorded city on Earth. And it is a temple. Not a fort, not a granary, not a house. A place built by people who otherwise lived in tents for something that exists only inside the human mind. How did our species learn to do that? There is no human culture on Earth without religion. Anthropologists have been looking for one for 200 years. They have not found one. Whatever you personally believe, this is the deepest fact. Every band, every tribe, every city our species has ever organized has had some version of unseen minds, sacred places, and shared ritual. Not most of them, all of them. Something in the architecture of being human keeps producing this. The cognitive science of the last 40 years has given us the beginnings of an answer. Chapter 1, the rustle in the grass. Imagine you are an early human walking through tall grass. You hear a rustle behind you. You have two ways your brain can interpret it. You can decide it is the wind. Cost of being wrong, a tiger eats you. You can decide it is a tiger. Cost of being wrong, you flinched at nothing. Evolution does the math very quickly. The brain that survives is the one that errs strongly toward agent, toward something with intention is back there. Cognitive scientists like Justin Barrett and Stuart Guthrie call this the hyperactive agency detection device, HAD. It is a brain wired to find minds where minds may not exist. It is why a coat on a chair in the dark looks like a person for a half second. It is why you talk to your car when it won't start. It is the same machinery running quietly all the time. Now, combine HADD with another thing only humans seem to do at full strength, theory of mind. The ability to model what another mind is thinking, feeling, planning, even when that mind is not in front of you. A brain that constantly detects unseen agents. A brain that can model invisible minds in detail. Apply that brain to a thunderstorm, to a drought, to a sickness, to a death. The conclusion writes itself. Something is back there. Something has intentions toward us. The cognitive substrate for gods is not a flaw in the human mind. It is the same survival machinery that kept the species alive in the grass. Chapter 2, the stones at Göbekli Tepe. For a long time, we told ourselves a clean story about how civilization began. First, the story went, humans figured out agriculture. They settled down. They had surplus grain. The surplus produced kings, priests, temples, gods. Religion was a consequence of farming and cities. Göbekli Tepe broke that story. When the German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavating it in the 1990s, the dating came back wrong. The stone pillars, the carvings, the carefully built circles, all of them predated agriculture in the region by centuries. There were no domesticated grains around them yet, no livestock, no villages. People who still lived as hunter-gatherers had organized themselves to build a sacred place that took hundreds of bodies and many seasons to construct. Schmidt's tentative argument, and the one that has gained ground since, was unsettling. Maybe we got the order backwards. Maybe the temple came first. Maybe humans, in trying to gather in large numbers around something sacred, had to invent the agriculture that could feed those gatherings. In other words, religion may not have been a luxury that civilization afforded us. It may have been one of the original technologies that made civilization possible. Chapter 3, the big gods and the big cities. Here is the part that ties it all together. For most of human history, we lived in groups of about 150 people. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar argued famously that this is roughly the maximum number of people the human brain can keep meaningful relationships with. Inside a group that size, you can mostly trust each other through pure familiarity. You know who lies, you know who shares, you know whose word holds. Then, slowly, our groups got bigger. Cities, trade, strangers walking past strangers in a market. The psychologist Ara Norenzayan, in his 2013 book Big Gods, lays out the pattern. As human societies crossed the threshold of being too big for face-to-face accountability, something changed in their religions. Across history, in unrelated cultures, gods got bigger. They got more moral. They started watching. They started judging. They started caring about how strangers treated each other in markets and on roads. A god who knows your private thoughts is, among other things, a way to make a person behave well around strangers they will never see again. The anthropologists Richard Sosis and Candace Alcorta added another layer. Religious rituals, fasting, dietary laws, scarring, long prayers, exhausting pilgrimages, function in part as costly signals. Anyone who undergoes them is demonstrating, expensively, that they are committed to the group. Groups whose members signaled commitment more deeply tended to cooperate more, survive longer, and outlast groups that didn't. So whatever else religion is, and it is many things, it is also a piece of cognitive technology that did something almost no other species has ever managed. It got large numbers of unrelated humans to trust each other. And once that trust existed, almost everything else in human civilization became possible. The harvest, the road, the hospital, the neighbor. Whatever you personally believe, devout, doubtful, somewhere in between, try for a moment to hold this lightly. 11,000 years ago, on a hill, a small band of hunter-gatherers organized themselves around something they could not see. They lifted stones bigger than themselves and carved animals into them and gathered to do something none of them could fully explain. Out of that gathering, eventually, came the village, the field, the city, the library, the hospital, the neighbor knocking on a door to bring soup to someone they have never met. The minds that imagined the unseen are the same minds that learned slowly, painfully, to imagine the stranger. You are not standing on the shoulders only of farmers and engineers and kings. You are also standing on the shoulders of every person who ever knelt before something they could not see and got up and decided to be kinder to the person next to them because of it. Whatever else religion has been, it has been one of the oldest technologies for being together. You are the inheritor of every circle it ever drew.
I'm Kyurio. You'll find me on your feeds every week, twice, to discuss on more such interesting topics. Till then, stay curious.